So there are many people that are involved in this incident, and there's many people that gave news interviews, but I do want to focus on Patience Carter because unlike the other journalists that we've covered, she plays a bigger role in this one. And then, like I've said in many videos before, the more information that they give you on these things, the more they trip themselves up. So when a news article like this comes out, it raises eyebrows because my thought process of these things are, would a newspaper entertain stuff like this under normal circumstances? Probably not, but they need to do sort of damage control almost. They realise that actually the things that people are saying are valid, so we need to squash this as quickly as possible. So we can build a timeline using this. As you can see, the report was done on the 19th of June 2016, and this incident happened on the 12th of June 2016. So in the early hours of Sunday morning, the shooting is occurring. This news article is exactly a week later. And if you scroll further down on this article, you'll see the Instagram picture that she took when she was being discharged from the hospital. Now, I'm sure the red shoes have some sort of symbology to it, but what I wanted to point out is that this Instagram picture was taken on Friday, which makes it the 17th of June. So the incident is happening on the 12th, and by the 17th of June she's already being discharged. Now, Patience claims to have been shot in her right leg, shattering her femur, and her femur is the thigh bone. So, I mean, I'm not a doctor, and the problem is that this is how they get away with these things, because we don't know every single profession, we don't know every little detail about everything. All we've got to do is use our eyes and sort of common sense and think, does this look right? And I believe this sort of wrapped up leg isn't exactly what you would expect from somebody who's had a shattered femur, especially in such a short space of time. I believe that there should be some more like pins, something along those lines maybe, but they're not visible in this. And then, almost as a further confirmation, just less than a week after this picture, she then appears on Fox News, her own employer, doing an interview in regards to speaking out against people who were claiming that she wasn't injured. Now, it's on her Instagram post that she's making the comments about people, not that she's replying to somebody else. So in the short space of time, she's looked up herself to see whether her story is making any headway and what reactions it's getting. And of course, she must have seen negative responses from the people out there that see the truth. And it's, like I say, it's like damage control. And this particular interview that she did live only is done to sort of solidify it. I can't emphasise enough how suspect this particular person is. Not only is she a journalist, 2 days after being shot, she then goes back in front of the cameras to then deliver a speech, a poem in fact, that she wrote the night before.
The guilt of feeling grateful to be alive is heavy. Wanting to smile about surviving, but not sure if the people around you are ready. As the world mourns the victims killed and viciously slain, I feel guilty about screaming about my legs in pain because I could feel nothing, like the other 49 who weren't so lucky to feel this pain of mine. I never thought in a million years that this could happen. I never thought in a million years that my eyes could witness something so tragic. Looking at the souls leaving the bodies of individuals, looking at the killer's machine gun throughout my right peripheral, looking at the blood and debris covered on everyone's faces, looking at the gunman's feet under the stall as he paces. The guilt of feeling lucky to be alive is heavy. It's like the weight of the ocean's walls crushing uncontrolled by levees. It's like being drugged through the grass with a shattered leg and thrown on the back of a Chevy. It's like being rushed to the hospital and told you're going to make it when you laid beside individuals whose lives were brutally taken. The guilt of being alive is heavy.
Now, we covered the element of mockery, and this is no different, it's just a different form of it. But you've got to listen to the words of her poem. She's specifically saying things almost to get the truth out there, even though she's meaning the total opposite. I mean, really, just play that section back and take on board what I've just said. Her very first sentence of not feeling ready to smile yet because people might not be ready. Remember, this is 2 days after she was shot, and she's doing a poem. Now, the poem is not dedicated to her friend who died, or the person who was shot next to her as well, or her other friend. This is just a generic poem, and it's just not right. It is laughable. I know I don't want to deal in speculation, but I think I need to on this particular occasion for Patience Carter. And the reason is that when you look into her, you realise that, I mean, yes, she's an intern for Fox. Now, an intern is obviously like an apprentice, somebody who's up and coming. So if you wanted to further your career, you'd get involved in something like this. And the thing is that everybody's got their price. You know, if they dangle that carrot to you that you're going to be set for life and you'll make your wealth and all this, and you sort of sell yourself for it, there will be people who will do it. And the thing is that if you don't, somebody else will. And these are the things that will go through their mind at the time. And this was what I was thinking with the Westminster, the junior doctor, who was happy and smiling even though she was one of the first people to get out there helping the injured. We had in the news that the junior doctors in our country, they were striking quite frequently for a long period of time. Now, so if you can imagine that if somebody came up to one of those junior doctors and said, look, we'll pay you tuition for the rest of your life, we'll pay for your career advancement, we'll make sure that you're working in the best practices, but what we want you to do is play this part, there will be somebody who will be willing to do that. And then they can be fed any story from there on, whether it's, well, you're doing a good thing because it's actually in assistance with gun control or arming the police in case of real terror attacks, whatever lie they need to spin to get that person to say yes. And when you look into people like Patience Carter, you see that she's not an underachiever by any means, but she certainly is somebody who's coming across as somebody who wants to get that immediate fame, wants to further herself by any means possible. And it just seems odd that in February 2016 she brought out a music video. I don't know how she managed to do that. I think it's because of her connections when she was interviewing rappers, so somebody's obviously tried to push her in that direction, maybe because that didn't work out. This was then the next step. So I'll play a little bit of the clip. I mean, you can look it up and listen to the whole lyrics, but the theme is there. It's her wanting to make money as quickly as she can so that she can better her life.
I'm trying to make $1 out of 50 cents. Yeah. Make money, trying to get rich. I'm just trying to get away past the ceiling. Way up and make $1 million. I'm just trying to make $1.
There's a lot of other bits and pieces about Patience Carter that you can find yourself. I mean, there's things like she says that her friend called for a taxi, whereas her friend's mother says that she text to ask her mother to come pick them up, and then there's this ridiculous story as to how when she was getting text to say that there were shootings in the club, she was driving at 100 miles an hour to try and get to this club. There's just silly stuff like that, again with no emotion, and immediately after it's all happened, you know, there's no grief period, there's no mourning period with these people. They just get on with it, and they've just got to get on with it because they've got to get that story out there regardless. I've said before that I don't deal in coincidences, and this is the reason as to why. What are the odds that, again, a journalist is directly involved in an incident like this, especially on this magnitude, not to mention all the other stuff that goes with it. But anyway, Patience Carter, there's plenty of stuff out there to do with her, and there's more things that you could talk about, but I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible, so thanks very much for watching.